I know who I am. I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude.
Strength and honor, strength and honor, strength and honor.
Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Why so serious?
I'm gonna crush you like a worm.
At my signal, unleash hell.
Do or do not. There is no try.
All right. Let's see who's here. I got a ton of stuff going on today. Oh, man, Candace, we get our offers in yet? What's going on? There you go.
Test. I'm here. Hi, Candace. We are getting impatient, Candace. You know us. Killing us. Especially if we go into the weekend. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people come in, they look at your house multiple times. They say they're going to go do paperwork. It's like, come on, man. Pull the trigger. I know that we get our office in quick. When we're serious, we serious.
Be serious.
We're serious. It's like...
Why so serious?
Exactly.
Because we're going to our dream home, man.
Yeah, so we're excited, but come on, people. We might have an offer, but come on, people.
There is no try.
All right, so I've got that going. Let me check Facebook or YouTube, make sure YouTube's up and running. And then we can get cracking. We got some cool stuff tonight. We got we're live on YouTube too.
Candace said she's working on it.
She's working on nice. All right.
Crack that whip, Candace.
HA, we're going to get to, some questions tonight. We got some questions. I did an interview earlier today with Alan West, so we're going to get into that. I just want to get everything all smooth and all working here. Jason Conway, good to hear you. We're going to be doing some tech stuff and rolling some film, so if you guys start getting crazy echoes and stuff, let us know. It shouldn't be that way, and the sooner, I don't want to blow your eardrums out because that's why we were a little slow starting trying to get all that stuff worked out. So we are totally pumped for tonight. Alan West, such a great guy, such a patriot, such a great servant, man of God, and fresh off a motorcycle accident where someone rear-ended him on the freeway. He was doing 75, which is the speed limit, and someone hit him and he lived. And he's running already.
Yeah, and this interview had been bumped several times, and the first one was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And right when this first interview was supposed to happen was when this accident happened. Yeah, and it was pretty crazy to see that headline be like, you were supposed to be talking to him this afternoon. And praise God that he didn't die. Right. Yeah.
And that went well. So let's see who we got over on Facebook. We've got Candace. We've got Jay Blankert. Good to see you. We got Victor. We got Brent. All right. So let's get rolling. I'm going to start playing this. So, again, we're going to mute my mic here, and we're going to play Alan West. It's about a 15-minute video, and then we'll come back. So we'll be here. You'll see us in the lower corner. So you're going to see some magic.
Trying to rule. And that's why you see what is happening in Seattle, where an anarchist group, Antifa, has gone in and taken over a 6-square-block area of a major urban population center. And the mayor of Seattle told the police to just walk away, to stand down. So they went in, they took over the precinct. That should not be happening in America. And we should respect our law enforcement officers. And they're bad soldiers, they're bad sailors, they're bad police officers. They're bad individuals in every single career profession, but you should not demonize an entire career profession.
No, I mean, the problem with professions is they're made up with people. And, since Cain and Abel and, the original sin of Adam and Eve, we're all sinful people, and it's only by the grace of God that, we can be redeemed. And, it just breaks my heart, Alan, but even when I was an atheist, I always loved America. I was fortunate. I was raised in Boston, Massachusetts, before secular secularism destroyed it. And because it was the birthplace of America, the revolution and Freedom Trail and Paul Revere and John Quincy Adams and all that stuff, I had an identity. And now the identity of culture is that America's bad. And I just feel like that's so darn dangerous that we're now removing statues of George Washington in Boston, or not George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. And I mean, it's just crazy.
Well, what is happening is that you have a group of individuals that, they so despise and they so hate the United States of America, again, because we have not told the stories of America in our homes, in our churches, in our communities. We're definitely not teaching it in our schools. We don't teach history. We don't teach civics. We teach this thing called social studies, and that's very subjective. So instead of young people, especially in Massachusetts, understanding the rich history of Massachusetts and the establishment of the United States of America, the Sons of Liberty. You think about what happened April the 19th of 1775, when those few men came out of the taverns, they came out of their homes, and they met the most powerful military that the world had ever known at that time, Great Britain, on the field of Lexington Green, and they fired the shot that was heard around the world. And they did it because they believed that armed individuals could be citizens, and disarmed individuals were nothing more than subjects. And what really angered me was the fact that my history, my lineage as a soldier, a Black soldier who served this great nation, got started because of a infantry regiment that was brought together in Massachusetts.
Yep.
The 54th Massachusetts Regiment, the first organized unit of Black men to fight for this nation. And yet you had this mob, this group that went up there and defaced their monument. So again, this is not about Black Lives Matter. This is just about tantrums being thrown in this country. And we need to have adults, we need to have grown-ups that stand up and get this situation under control.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I really wanted this conversation to go, is how do we move forward, right? We're all in our corners right now. We're all, every page is, Facebook page out there, every social media person is posting stuff from their point of view and citing their base, showing their version of stats and all these things. And I really feel like if it's going to have to be the churches that lead us through this, it's going to have to be, leaders and Christians who have saved this nation time and time again by voting conservative and pulling us back from the brink. And I just hope they show up again. But I really, the pastoral cowardice that we've seen for so long in our church pews and in our churches has just been so frustrating, heartbreaking. And I really hope that great leaders like yourself, and I know that you're standing there in front of the Hope Center, and I hope you can tell us a little bit about that, and and maybe give me some hope myself that I could use right now.
Well, one of the great things that has happened for me, I've been on the board of the Hope Center. It's here in Plano, Texas, in North Texas. And it is a collaborative organization of 60 plus Christian ministries under one roof. And from this little small piece of ground here in North Texas, we have Christian ministries that reach out all across the United States of America and all across the globe. And I think it is so important that Christian constitutional conservatism, that philosophy of governance, that ideology, once again becomes the prevalent ideology here in the United States of America, as opposed to progressive socialism, as opposed to statism, as opposed to secular humanism, which does not believe that the individual is sovereign. Our rights and freedoms, our liberties come from our sovereign God, the creator God of the Judeo-Christian faith heritage. And what we are facing right now is, without a doubt, the greatest challenge to individual freedom that we have ever seen, because there are people that believe in collective subjugation. I know you said you wanted to talk about the COVID-19, but I think we should discuss it, because what I have seen happen in this episode of COVID-19, no elected official has the enumerated power to be able to determine who or what is essential in the United States of America. Yep. But yet, because of the fact that we're not studying our history and understanding civics, we have individuals that are handing out decrees and executive orders and mandates and dictates and edicts, and telling healthy people they can't go outside their homes, telling private sector business owners you can't have your business open, telling churches on Easter that they have to be locked up. This is unconscionable that is happening here in America. So I think it is so important that our pastoral leaders, they stand up for what is truth, what is right. When you look at the Supreme Court decision that just came down a couple of days ago, that would say that sexual behavior and sexual preference and choice of an individual supersedes your very first Bill of Rights, your very first liberty, which is your freedom of religion and free exercise thereof. We need to have our ministers stand up. And that's why I'm glad to be here as the interim president and CEO here at the Hope Center, where, like I said, I've served on the board, to make sure that we start standing up as Christians and synergizing our efforts in the Christian community against this secular humanism that is, without a doubt, on the attack.
Yeah, well, I can't think of a better person to be leading that than you, my friend. You know, here in Maine, where I just moved to, my pastor, Ken Graves at Calvary Chapel, has been in defiance of the governor's order holding service for his church. He originally was compliant and then was looking at the data. They're keeping liquor stores open, they're marijuana dispensaries, and they're telling people they can't have a relationship with
abortion
God.
clinics. Abortion clinics are kept open in some states. And this is all over a virus that has a 99.6 to a 99.8% recovery rate. You know, basically, okay, you have a new case. That means that a person has gotten a bug. Now, what they should inform us of 2 weeks later, what was the resolution of that case? What happened with that person? If they recovered, then what's the big deal? So I think there's been a lot of fear, paranoia, hysteria, and panic that has been stoked out there, just the same as we have seen happen with all of this racial tension, this irrational emotionalism that the media and others stoke, because it gives them the opportunity to advance their own specific ideological agenda.
Yeah, and one of the things that really did break my heart that recently happened was you have a lot of senior military leaders that when our country is literally at its most divided and it needs unity in its darkest hour, where America's enemies are China, Iran, Russia, they're sowing this discontent. And then you have General Mattis and Admiral McRaven, you know, selfishly go out there and further, you know, undercut and stab the president in the back. And I don't understand it, sir.
Well, sadly, once again, it comes back to what you said, going back to the original sin, going back to Cain and Abel. You know, God has a perfect will that he would love for us to live within, but he has given us that permissive will, that choice that we make. And sometimes people make that bad choice of self-interest or special interest, and they forget the interests of the country. So I think that that is what we see happening. And I would just say to a lot of these senior leaders, think about the oath that you took to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, to bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that you took that obligation freely without any purpose of evasion or mental reservation, so help you God. And when you start to look at what is right and what is wrong, I think it's pretty easy to come down on the side of the oath that you took, which is our rule of law, our Constitution. So hopefully at some point in time, these generals will get some type of gut check, and they will end up, you know, realizing that they are doing their country more harm than they are doing anything else other than promoting their own, themselves and their own personal agenda.
Yeah, I just can't think of a time when we've been more vulnerable than we are right now, where, you know, I feel like we're, you know, the closest we've ever been to a second civil war. And, you know, both those guys, you know, could have been calming voices. And instead they weighed in on division. And it just, you know, a lot of Marines had a lot of respect. And I've seen a lot of pushback, you know, I will say from people out there. And, you know, I just hope that we can come together, rally behind the president right now, get through these times, have our election. And I pray to God that conservatism wins again and that we can hold off this madness that is just a wash across our nation and learn to be brothers once again. Like, you know, you cut myself, I bleed red, white, and blue, and I believe the same of you, sir. And I just wish everyone would get back to that. I know you're a busy man, and I know that you've got stuff stacked up. So I want to be respectful of your time, sir. And I really, really thank you. Is there anything else you want to say about the Hope Center or anything else you want to get in before you can get on to your next appointments?
Well, sure. Feel free to go to our website, thehopecenter.com here in Plano, Texas, and support us in what we're doing because there is no other place like the Hope Center in the entire United States of America or in the entire world where you have a collaborative effort of 60 plus Christian ministries that are spreading the word and the gospel of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, not just here in America, but all across the globe. So it is an honor and a privilege. Concerning the fact of what happened to me 3 weeks ago, I could very easily not be here, but praise be to God and His grace has allowed me to step up here and continue to be a humble and obedient servant to Him.
Well, God bless you, sir. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, and hoo-yah.
Yeah, thank you. I want to make sure that all of our sound is coming back across and that, all the technology is working again. So everybody on...
Sorry for the hiccups on Facebook. The stream, for whatever reason, has been a bit catchy tonight. But
Yep.
YouTube's good if you haven't hopped over there yet.
Right. YouTube actually helps us a lot more. So go on over to YouTube. So yeah.
It's an awesome interview.
Yeah, thank you.
Really well done.
Thank you. And Eric, I completely agree. I saw him 3 weeks ago on Fox, or maybe 2 weeks ago, and he was fresh off the road rash. He's recovered amazing. I mean, he's already running, man. I mean, holy smokes.
It's humbling.
Yeah. So, what a great man.
How is it to talk to him? I mean, it's pretty cool. These faces that you see on national TV, and then, here he is and having an interview with us.
Well, it was, I've just spoken to him before on the phone through a mutual friend. And he was a very helpful, great guy the first time I talked to him, and nothing's changed. Mm-hmm. Just a really super solid, good dude. Mm-hmm. And, he's a big name, and he's taking time to get on our Rinky Dink podcast to support a veteran.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool that he took the time out of his schedule to do that, because before that he was on Fox.
Yeah.
So taking time out to hop on over, because we're Christian and because, we're, a veteran program. Yeah. I thought it was great that he came over here to give us some love and some support.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, you are blessed to have him in Texas. That's for sure. Great. Everyone's saying that we're sounding good, looking good.
Awesome.
As good as we can. So it's hot in Maine. I mean, what the frick?
Yeah, that heat wave that Virginia we were making fun of you for, it came here.
Yeah. So, 90s in Maine. We had to go buy another portable AC unit. But here's the crazy thing, right, peeps? I'm out meeting with a bunch of different, people locally, making friends, getting wired into the community. And I come home on this 90 plus degree day, and my wife in a non-air conditioned house has a freaking sweatshirt on.
There had been like a cool air coming through one of the windows, and I had a chill. And then I was comfortable. I don't know. I'm not.
Eric, where's your sweater?
It wasn't a sweater. Yes, I am going to be screwed in a few months. I'm saying it now.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
I'm the girl who gets purple toes in Florida, guys. So it's just gonna happen.
Yeah, just totally I came home like, I'm sitting there and it took me a while to register, and I'm like, I need to get a picture of this and post this.
Yes.
Yeah, it's 90 plus degrees out. I'm freaking melting.
You're always melting.
And my wife
and
has
I'm always cold. So it shouldn't really have been a surprise.
Yeah. So basically, put standby in January.
And it was a sweatshirt and hot tea, by the way.
Why are you drinking hot tea? How can you drink hot tea on a 90 degree day?
I like hot tea. You guys know that. I don't have it tonight, though. I got hot later. It did get hot.
So we had to go buy a second portable AC unit.
Poor little baby bee is.
She's melting in her bedroom.
Toasty.
Yeah. because I sucked the other one in here. We turned it off for the show. We like tried to cool the air down real quick and then, hustle on
I'm
over here.
comfortable. You're melting.
I mean, I'm not comfortable. It's warm.
I'm fine.
I wonder if you turn on the AC unit, what temperature, and it's probably 85.
Yeah.
So anyways, getting Alan was great. I have Chad Robichaux's, we did almost like a 2-hour interview. It was absolutely amazing. He's the founder of Mighty Oaks, former UFC champion.
What's the plan with that one?
And my plan is to get that done pretty soon here and get that out to you guys. It's amazing. It's in depth. He's got a very powerful story. He was a cop, pretty new on the force. Ended up having to kill a guy.
Oh, wow.
After he, literally was a domestic. Guy barricaded himself in the room. Chad's fighting with him over his gun. He ends up, pulling his gun and, shooting him, and his partner's shooting him over the shoulder, and the guy looks him dead in the face and says, "You killed me."
Whoa.
In front of his wife and kids, and, just horrible situation. So he goes and joins him, leaves the police department after that, goes and joins the military.
Okay.
Does that, gets PTSD really bad. This is before the military knew what to do with PTSD, so they can him. Mm-hmm. Kick him out of the military. This is all he ever wanted to do. This is what he wants to do, and now he's out. Mm-hmm. And got PTSD and all this stuff. Finds Jesus, before he finds Jesus. So he gets kicked out of the military. What's he do? He throws himself. He's not a guy. He throws himself into substances. He throws himself into activity. So he throws himself in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and becomes a world champ in the UFC. Still has a problem because what's he doing? He's feeding that hole in the center of him with Jiu-Jitsu now. And his family's imploding. He's suicidal. He tells the story. He's in there with his gun, and his wife comes by to fight for him one last time. And it's just an amazing story.
Can't wait to hear it.
And, finds Jesus and then started this program 10 years ago called Mighty Oaks. Literally one of the best suicide prevention programs out there for veterans and first responders.
Very cool. Yeah. Right now.
Yeah. So we talked about the challenges first responders are having. We talked about, I talked about how, my experience with that. And just a really good dude and super inspirational and like a defender and a protector of vets. He's out there fighting, making sure that no matter what administration's in power, that the vets are being taken care of.
Yeah.
And that's cool. And he's on Trump's campaign right now for veterans for Trump to get reelected to help them.
Oh, cool.
And to talk about how much that they've actually done. Like letting veterans choose their own doctor, go outside of the VA system. And, so he's going to get up there and just spit facts.
Yeah.
And say no one's taking care of vets more than this president.
Awesome.
So really, really cool stuff. And today, one of our fans, Che, had a question for me, and I want to pull it up. See if I can find it here. There we go. So, and I thought it was good. I love it when we get questions from our watchers, our viewers, our fans. So she said, question, on a recent podcast, you mentioned you went to a local police department, assuming this is Jason's. If not, hi there, Lauren. Can you please pass this on to Jason? So when you go to a local PD, can you offer suggestions such as instead of sitting in your car, walk around and get to know the kids, the parents, the up to no good seeds in town? Let me explain. When I grew up, our police officers were out and about. They knew us by name and would call us out if they saw us out late with a not so good crowd. In our town, I love our PD. I know many of them and they know me from from my involvement in events, but I make it a point to know them. But I rarely see them out and about, like walking around. I'm going to ask the captain, but I'm wondering if that sort of thing isn't going on anymore. I hate what I'm seeing. The vilification of all police sickens me. But I'm wondering, hoping if they are out and about, at least in smaller communities such as mine, maybe more people will see them as allies, not enemies. Some jackass is trying to put together a BLM protest in our town, and so far it's not coming to fruition. But I'd like to like to contribute to it not happening at all? Thoughts on how to suggest this idea to the captain without overstepping? So a couple things out there on that. One, you're not overstepping.
That's an interesting thought.
They work for you. And if you're coming at them from a way to help, right? If you're not coming at them, I mean, they get people tearing into them all day, right? I mean, tearing them all day. So from a supportive citizen trying to offer suggestions, you can totally do that and it'll be very well received.
Right now, I would assume that they will be, I don't know if reluctant's the right word, but to go out in that kind of manner and just be walking the streets knowing the kind of hate that they're likely to receive, unless it's in a neighborhood that they're already going to be supported.
It really depends on a couple things. It depends how overworked, understaffed they are. Right? If they're undermanned, as most PDs are now, and they're understaffed and they have calls they have to answer, they can't clock off to just kind of go pal around with the neighborhood.
Community service kind of stuff.
Right? Yeah. So, if you're going domestic to domestic to domestic to auto accident to directing traffic to, police escorts to whatever, you don't have the downtime to go hang out with the kids playing basketball, get to know their names, that type of thing. So that is usually a budget manning thing, Che. It usually comes down to they don't have enough officers. They're on minimum staff. They're not allowed to work overtime. They're not allowed to do these things. So they can't go out and clock off and say, hey, I'm going to go do, community service walkarounds. And that's what, walking a beat used to be. You walked a beat and you knew everybody on your beat.
So why do you think there was the shift? Do you think that, is it changes in funding? Is it changing in mentality? Like what do you feel like from what she grew up experiencing to what she's seeing now?
Well, it really depends on the demographic and the levels of crime that were in her neighborhood before to where the neighborhood is now. They have decreased usually the amount of cops because they've gotten more efficient in policing, i.e. instead of having a cop on every block, they can have one cop in a car and he'll cover 10 blocks.
Okay.
Right? Populations have increased. So most of the time it's a staffing issue and an overtime issue. So if you decrease funding, you decrease cops, you have less cops in there. Everyone's leaving the profession. No one wants to do the job. It's freaking miserable right now. You're not going to see any of that.
Well, and I know also you said, especially, several years back when kind of perceptions of police really started to shift and they became more targeted, and things that they were doing were analyzed more. They started just sitting in their cars waiting for calls versus the proactive stuff. So that also probably eliminated some of their presence on the streets. Yeah. So during the Holder administration after Ferguson, and what you're seeing right now is just all proactive policing has ceased. Crime stoppages and people anticipating crime and preventing it from happening has stopped. Why? Because what if they stop somebody, they turn out to have a different color complexion than a white officer, and now they're on CNN being called racist and being charged for murder, trying to defend their own life. So literally they're all sitting in the parking lot. People are getting raped. People are getting murdered. People are getting robbed. People are getting beat up. People are getting abused. Kids are being molested. All those things are going on, and police are forced to turtle right now in their parking lots because it's too risky for them to do out a job. Because let me tell you something. If you're fighting for your life with a guy who you've pulled over for a DUI and he grabs something, whether it's your taser, your firearm, it's his firearm, you don't know, it's dark, he turns, fires something at you, there's a pop and a flash, and you're not allowed to shoot him, I don't know what world that is. I watch Geraldo Herrera say a bunch of garbage about shooting someone in the back. You're shooting him in the back because he's turned like this and shooting at you, right? Yeah. He's not squared up on you. It's the most ridiculous macho garbage. You shot a man in the back. I shot a man in the back because he pointed something at me while he was running away. More than pointed.
Pointed and fired.
Fired, yeah.
And, he might not even have known that was a taser. You can't tell in the dark. You don't know.
I can't remember because you have some audio from the cameras and stuff, and I know that they were saying get your hands off my taser and stuff during the scuffle.
Right.
So basically, I mean, I would have to go back line for line, whatever. But I think they might have had an idea that it was a taser, at least at one point.
At one point, he had a taser. Now he's running away. He turns and he fires something at him. So it could be a taser, could not be a taser. The main thing is there's a fleeing felon there who is a bad guy. The cops are trying to arrest him. He already punched a cop. He already fired something at a cop. And if a cop isn't allowed to shoot that
they were
person,
operating on what in Georgia up until the point of this incident that tasers were considered a deadly weapon.
Yeah, it's funny. The week prior, the DA was arguing that tasers were a deadly weapon, and then all of a sudden forgot that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just a disgrace. I hope every cop takes a week off and the world burns down. And, I hope they give us some warning. I hope they say, hey, we're taking a week off in 30 days. You better prepare.
Well, it's just so interesting. There's reports that multiple precincts or kind of sectors of cops is in that area have taken some time kind of in solidarity, and then there's the higher up people are saying no, that's not true, we have more than enough staffing right now, so
they're not going to want to instigate panic.
People have no idea whether they're going to get help or not. And then there's the reports
in
other states of people saying we've called the cops like 12+ times and no one showed up as our store was being looted and
I've seen 911 calls where people are literally on the phone saying, we are locked in a room, we're in a restaurant, and they're beating down the door, please send help, and no one ever comes.
Yeah.
That's the world. That's the world they're demanding, people.
Yeah. Maybe that'll be enough to scare some people back in the right direction.
Yeah, I hope they do, because let me tell you something. Well, now Facebook is doing a little spinning. It's crazy. I don't know if my plug there or whatever is loose and we're streaming. But anyways, this is the world that they're trying to force on everyone. They're trying to force chaos, because what do? If they can prove chaos, now they can come for your guns.
Yeah.
Right? So then only the felons will have guns. We won't have cops. It's like the perfect storm. It's exactly what they're trying to do. And, and we're almost stupid enough to let them do it.
Yeah.
Not you and I, not our listeners, but us as society, people's parents and everyone else out there watching ABC, NBC, CBS, watching the freaking propaganda news networks. Like, I am so ashamed, right? The way they covered Chaz versus they covered Missouri shows their freaking bias. The way they show protests or people trying to go back to work for COVID-19 and then applaud BLM and Antifa and all these people just totally by tens of thousands getting each other sick and applaud that. It just shows you there is no rhyme or reason. There is no truth. There is no nothing. They are the propaganda arm for socialism and communism, and that's exactly what they are.
Well, the sad part about it, for a big sector who are watching they're not seeing kind of the violent aspect of what's going on, is they're not now being able to prepare properly for what they might be walking into if they're going into these areas, or as their own towns kind of lose their police officers and things like this keep happening. These people are somewhat going to be blindsided because they haven't been properly educated.
Absolutely.
That this is a risk now.
Yeah, absolutely. And, a couple things. So Eric said they couldn't even wait to see what the investigation says before charges were brought. That's what shows me they're not being unbiased. Absolutely. Right. And then Peter talking about the actual breakdown of the scene, saying that you have to factor the decision-making process and reaction times. The use of force Science Institute has studied this. They have. That's why it's their cop's playbook. He did everything he was supposed to do. Mm-hmm. Right? And the thing is them getting rid of chokeholds is ridiculous. Now the only way you're going to be able to get somebody is to either break a joint or to knock them unconscious with a brain injury by inflicting trauma on their head.
So For those of us who are not in the cop world, as I know a lot of our viewers are, so the chokeholds are used.
It's like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's a karate
to get them
chokeout.
calm enough, quiet enough.
It's to get them to
Out
go
enough.
out so you can cuff them without having to hurt them.
Okay.
Right. And,
So
unfortunately,
the point being to take it all
it's
the way
to do it so you don't have to
passing
hurt
out.
them. Right. And it's just ridiculous. Cops are so undertrained. That's ridiculous. In the SEAL teams, we would train 18 months to deploy for 6 months. 18 months straight of training, 8 to 12 to 14 to 24 hours a day of training to deploy, to work for 6 months. And guess what? When we came back, we did it all over again. Guess how much hands-on training DT cops get? 4 hours.
I was gonna say,
A year.
Are you trained in how to do a chokehold?
Yeah, I mean, they're trained that for 4 hours once a year.
Okay, so not really that.
Right.
much.
And then how much firearms training do they get? How much they get? That's why, I love police officers and I support them, but they're so undertrained. Like, take the average cop isn't even close to trained as much as a guy who's been in the teams a year.
Right.
And it's just, it's just sad. Now, are they out working in it every day? Like the cops are
On the
out
job
there doing
training.
hands-on and doing on OJT, and they're interacting with more people and doing stuff. And that's why cops are really good at people skills usually if they're not jerks. Like your good cops, your seasoned cops who talk people into handcuffs,
Right.
that's a totally different level of cop than your jerk. Right. And there are jerks, and we need to get rid of jerks. And I'm all for this national registry for cops. I'm all for getting rid of the bad cops out there. Even the ones that aren't like doing anything wrong. They're just jerks. They just create enemies for the department. There are guys on BPD where I'm like, I wonder, like, I think of how many calls that guy's on a day and how many people he makes hate us. So it undoes everything I'm doing. I've turned to guys and said, don't ever come to one of my calls again.
Yeah.
I'd rather not get back up than have you here.
I saw one comment about, and it sounds like, Peter sounds like he's looked at this video a lot, and it's not something I would have really noticed, but that they're trying to say that the cop didn't properly inform him that he was being arrested or why he was being arrested before he started the process of trying to cuff him, and then that might have exacerbated the situation. Is that anything you can speak to?
Most guys will run right when you go to cuff them. Right? So you have a great contact with them because they think they're talking their way out. They think they're going to get a pass. They think you're going to cut them a break because you're being cool.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they feel that, turn around and all of a sudden click and it registers they're going to jail. And this guy was serving 7 years for domestic abuse.
Right.
Right. And got out because of COVID-19. So multiple failed policies stacked on top of one another, and then does this, and now he's a martyr. And
At what point in the process do you have to tell them why you're arresting them?
Well, they tell them, they turn around and they say, hey, you're under arrest for driving under influence.
Okay, so, but you can be starting the process of cuffing them as you're saying that?
You can say, I'm detaining you. You're not under arrest. I'm just detaining you pending investigation right now. And for your safety and mine, I'm going to put you in handcuffs.
Okay.
Which, as we can see, why that is necessary. So again, a lot of places are going to be different. A lot of places are going to have different rules, different, whatever. But on a whole, that's the way it rolls.
Okay.
Victor over here has got some things over here. I work in a high call team every weekend that responds to shootings, high risk areas, vice, drugs, et cetera, et cetera. But we make time for community functions. We work with many, nurses, sex assault victims, workers, doctors, probation, religious. Yeah, Victor, that's only if you're allowed to do that and if you're going to get funded with that. A lot of departments don't have that. They're undermanned. They're running under shift. They're being held over tour after tour, being ordered to work. They don't have weekends off. They don't have any holidays off. They're being they literally, because they're running at 40% capacity. And that's what's coming. I've been on one of those PDs.
Well, and that was before.
And that was
talk
before.
about now.
Now it's going to be even worse where guys are just not going to want to come in.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be absolutely mind-boggling. So it basically boils down to is for some amount of time here until this shakes out, you're at a higher risk with your family, and you better know what to do. You better start going over life safety skills. You better going over street smarts with people. You better start considering getting, a secondary weapon system. This is your primary weapon system, your head and your hands. And then getting yourself a secondary weapon system that you're comfortable, that you're legal to carry, and then training on it. And training. And training. And thinking. And training. Right? It's not cool that you're carrying a gun. It's a responsibility now that you're carrying a gun. You can't be careless and leave it behind in the bathroom in a public restaurant.
Right.
Right? You can't, drink because you have one on you now. Right? So your activity goes way down on what you can do. And if you step into any scene, no matter how menial, there's at least one gun there. And somebody, if they see it, if you're carrying it sloppily, if it's loose and it's hanging out and someone can seize it, guess what? You're in a scuffle and they end up grabbing that. Now there's a gun involved. Now you're fighting over your gun. You have to kill somebody.
Now you don't have the gun that's involved.
You don't have the gun, or he's going for your gun, and now you got to kill him. And you just shot an unarmed man.
Okay. Yes.
And that's what cops are. That's what you're hearing the cops have to do time and time again.
Right.
All right. What else we got here? 100% Eric. Yep. And then Victor. People are crazy when on drugs. Totally, man. I mean, you see these guys on meth, PCP, bath salts, like with their freaking zombies trying to eat people, like trying to eat people, like straight up horror movie crap. That's what cops are dealing with.
So what they're, I saw one interview today saying that they're saying that the cops should have just told this guy to walk home.
No, he's going to jail.
And they're like, well, since when is that the appropriate response to drunk driving? Because clearly he drove some point to get to Wendy's.
He was behind the wheel with a car running in the drive-through that's driving.
And they were like, and then if this guy had been walking home drunk on the advice of the police and gotten hit by a car, now they would have
been sued.
Yeah. It's like,
it's absolutely no win situation, which is why the police, the thin blue line, has to lock arms on this one, and they have to fight this as a crew.
Well, it seems like you're seeing more and more. It seems like that the police brotherhood have now, I mean, in larger numbers, it's being reported that they are being like, forget this.
Without exception, there needs to be a blue flu. Cities need to call in and say, we're going to give you warning right now. We're going to tell you. I
don't know if Scott's on, but it sounds like in his area.
Yeah, I don't know if Scott's on either. I hope he is.
Yeah, in Columbus. That it was kind of understood that the cops weren't going to be responding.
Yeah, and the cops need to do a blue flu, and society needs to see what life looks like without them. And then we'll get a taste of what's coming if we start going down these paths. We cannot continue to go down these crazy paths and let BLM and all these other hate organizations pull us down this anti-blue, anti-law. Meaning, if you have a certain tincture or pigment in your skin, you're immune from being prosecuted, arrested for all crimes now. That's what it's coming out to be. Oh, wait, that's black guy. Oh, let him walk home drunk.
Right.
White guy, throw him in jail. I mean, I just saw footage that Chicago PD released where 2 black cops shot and killed an unarmed white guy.
Not killed.
That didn't kill, shot him. Right? Shot him once in the stomach. He's running away. Has done nothing, produced no weapons, no nothing. And then they shot him in the back at the top of an escalator.
Yeah. So, I mean, it had escalated. He was
resisting.
Actively resisting arrest. They pepper sprayed him. He was tussling with them.
And then he was running away, or he was standing there, and then they shot him in the gut.
Yeah, but yeah. So
then he ran up the stairs, and they shot him in the back.
Yeah, but he did survive.
No one even heard about that.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, do you think that, I mean, as it should be? I mean, like equally as it should be that we don't have to hear about these legitimate shoots when it's the.
I'm just
the black
showing
person I understand.
We
that,
shouldn't
but
hear of any of them, and there should be an
that's
investigation and
I'm
review.
saying.
But the problem is it is a double standard.
I understand, but I'm saying that, yes, we didn't hear about this one where this white person was killed, and that's the way it should be. We don't have to hear about all of these legitimate incidents where violence is used against someone who is being a dummy, being arrested, and that should apply across the board.
Right. And I don't even know what he did. I think he changed cars.
It was on the subway, and while it was moving or in between at stops, he went between cars instead of getting off at the platform and getting on. So you're not allowed to go between cars. Right. And there was 2 officers in the car where he went into.
Right, and he walked by and he said something to him.
I think he was trying to play it cool. And then at the next stop, they were like, dude, get off. And they tried to arrest him on the platform, and that's where it got ugly.
It was on Blue Lives Matters and only 3 other places. I don't know what he's talking about.
This incident in Chicago, saying that's the only place it got press.
Yeah. And it's just absolutely disgusting what the media is doing to us all. So what do we do? All right, what do we do? What I've been doing is I've been throwing myself into my faith and into my walk with God. It's the only way that my heart will not fill with hate. And I still struggle. I'm struggling with anger. I still get frustrated. Small things set me off because I'm just more stressed out than normal, and I haven't even carved enough time for God yet. Getting around guys, being able to talk through stuff and reason through stuff and sharing what's on your heart and fellowship is huge. And I really recommend that everyone get someone like that. Mm-hmm. I'm just fortunate to go to the best church in the world where, you get bro time with the guys. You go in there and jack and steal and having a good time and then going to lunch, breakfast. And
yeah, it's been awesome.
It's great stuff. So we got any other questions from you guys out there? I know this was a hot and heavy one. I'm really thankful for Alan West being on today. We're going to continue to line up high-powered guests and try to bring you, things that you need to protect yourself and your family and your loved ones in these times, and do it responsibly, as a good Christian, as a good, steward, guardian, protector, which is what we all should be, right? Mm-hmm. If you haven't joined the Trident Shield Guardians group, make sure you do. It's part of our Facebook group. Just request to join. Come on in. That's where we share all the articles and all the stories. We talk about this and get into some discussions and things on there. If you haven't gone to our Patreon page, diving back in. I was supposed to do it this week, but too many things came up with the guests we had and all that stuff. I'm diving back in, and starting on Monday, the Patreon page is going to be on fire. And we appreciate everyone who supports us over there. We know that Brandy is on here. He supports us on there, and several others that are, really cool and support us over on the Patreon page. We also are releasing a lot of our courses. We're making a lot of individual trainings and on our learning management system, whether it be situational awareness courses, active shooter courses, self-defense courses, that type of stuff. They're all going to be going into our system for individual sale. Our active shooter course is now live for individuals to buy. Our workplace violence, our school course for students is now for sale. Individuals, as well as our teacher, faculty, staff. Mm-hmm. We're also going to start doing live training webinars, and I plan on doing some firearm stuff up here in Maine pretty soon probably with Peter Joyce here from SRT Concepts. Mm-hmm. So all good stuff. Hey, Scott, you're just catching the tail end of this. You need to rewind because we had some questions for you about the police walkouts or the police saying you're on your own. But that's pretty much all I got for you guys tonight. We'll see you again on Monday.
Guys.
What?
It's his birthday tomorrow.
Oh, man. I almost made it.
What, without a reference?
Yeah.
You want as much attention as you can get.
No, I didn't say nothing. I was rolling on. I was getting ready to say, God bless you, God bless you.
You would have been sad. So, happy birthday, Jason.
Yeah.
We'll have to do a
39 years old.
Yep. And happy Father's Day to all you awesome dads out there on Sunday.
Yes, happy Father's Day to everyone.
Thank you for all the wonderful influences that you're giving your little kiddos.
Yep, and remember, you're the protector primary. Your biblical duty from the Bible is you need to be the protector of your family, and you better be doing it. And if you don't have a man in the house, it's on you.
Yeah.
So, happy Father's Day, everyone.
Happy birthday, Jason.
Happy birthday, me. And Lauren's cooking me some chicken palm tomorrow night. Yeah. And then we're going out with some friends on Saturday.
We are passing off the baby. That's why we came to Maine. Pass off the baby to the grandparents for 24 hours. We're his birthday present. We're going to go explore Acadia, which he's been talking about.
I've been talking about Acadia for
years.
like years. And I'm actually going to go see it. It better be cool.
It's going to literally be cool because it's going to be 90-something degrees here and 70-something degrees there.
Yes.
What?
That's what I'm talking about.
So, yeah. So, we're having a babyless day. Good stuff.
All right. So, God bless you. God bless America. May God protect each and every one of you. May give our leaders the knowledge and the wisdom to lead us through this tough time. Trident Shield, out. Peace.